Hello and welcome to Donington Park. You're joining me here for the second Keep GTS race on Sunday the 12th of July 2020. This is my first single race in the car this year. We had a 3-hour reload the day before and this is the first time out as a single driver. Just in the assembly area now getting ready. If you've been to Donington before, you might recognise that we're in it's the loop section of the circuit that goes down and comes round back up to the main start finish straight. We are just racing a national circuit, which means we sort of cut this part off. We go through the S's to complete the lap each time. We didn't have a qualifying for this race in the morning. What we had was essentially a raffle for the places on the grid. So we're just going out on the warm-up lap now. Let me just run down the grid for the race. So on pole we had Richard Hewell Evans in the Austin Healey. Next to him Rob Cull in his Triumph TR3. You might have just seen in the back of the shot there that Rob was having some problems getting the car started before the race, but he does join us. But I don't think he was on the front row where we should have been. We've then got Ivan Hayward, row 2 with Rick Wilmot, row 3 Lee Atkins and Robin Ellis, row 4 Jack Wilmot is joined by number 22 Tom Smith, row 5 in ninth place Robbie Bernberg, next to him is John Hughes in an MGB, 11 Chris Ryan Triumph TR4, next to him is Mark Holm, row 7 we've got Tom Andrew and Jonathan Smare, row 8 the Parry Williams brothers in there, Austin Healey and Mark Gordon. Row 9, Robert Johnson in MGB and also John Ye in his MGB. Row 10, David Eales and Darryl Davis. Row 11, that's myself, David Russell-Wilks and Andrew Giles. Row 12, we've got Jonathan Hughes again and Paul Mortimer, possibly that's a mistake in the programme. Row 13, Jonathan Abacassis and Dominic Mooney. Row 14, Mark Turner and Harry Wilmot. Number 30, Colin Kingsnorth. Row 16, we've got Rob Cobden and Doug Muirhead. Row 17, Peter Bower, and next to him Barry Dye. Row 18, we've got Jeff Handley and John Andon. And finishing up the grid, we've got row 19, which is Joe Wilmot and Robin Pinchbeck. So we're just coming around the formation lap now. I can see the field has just split up very slightly here, and I didn't want to be held up on the grid too long, so I just sort of hung back a tiny bit to let those cars behind me catch up. Pretty much all ready to go. I'm just giving those tyres a little bit of a warm up now. Just sort of first gear, just dropping the clutch to get a bit of heat through those rear tyres to make sure we get off the line nicely. Obviously we are joining the circuit. The tyres are cold, but it's a hot day, so we don't want to go too mad on the warm up. We want to just make sure that we're not going to get any nasty surprises in the first corner there. Just lining up on the grid now, so I'm going to find my way to row 11, which was 21st on the grid. That would have been, but obviously, as I said earlier, we didn't qualify for this, so it was just drawn out of the hat. One thing with not qualifying is you don't quite know if the person in front is quicker than you or if they're slower. So there's a little bit of a mixture there, not knowing quite what's going on in the first in those opening laps. I'll have to say the position I started from is probably my least favourite of all. I'm sort of in the middle of the pack, on the inside of the circuit for that first corner too. So my plan here was to try and get a clean start if I could. Unfortunately, as you see when I'm in my little box there, it's a sort of a hard place to find yourself really. I don't really like being in that section there. My plan though is to try and get off the line and get round and over to the outside, so I can be on the outside for the first corner. Looking back down the grid now, we can just see the last of the cars getting into position, and looking behind me, I can see that it looks like I think it's Darryl Davis possibly hasn't arrived in his spot, and a couple of other people too. So there are some gaps back down there. I think also that Parry Williams, he is there. Anyway, looking forward now, looking down the grid, so towards the front there. I think you might just see that bang in the centre of the screen, you've got the starter there. He's going to put that foot there. There we go. Okay, so there's the 5-second board is up. You can hear those revs starting to rise in the cars around me. Red lights are on. And off, that's a fairly, they weren't on for long, so that's a fairly quick start. I got away fairly well, but look how well the little green Sprite has done there. I think that was, I can't quite see the number at the moment. He made a fantastic start. So down into this first corner, I'm trying to go for this outside line as much as I can, but you can see here it all gets a little bit tight. And there's John Yale, very close to making contact with me, but luckily he doesn't. So we're all around that first corner. I don't think there were any incidents further back down the track. Now we drop down, we're going down the hill here. This is sort of fourth gear into the Craner curves for that dropping down into the old hairpin. So all sort of everything to play for, all a bit tight, but that's Paul Morsman just coming round there in his rather quick Austin Healey. So I pull second gear for this. We're trying to get a good drive on the exit. Which sort of worked out for me. So we're going up the hill here. This is sort of the Starkers Bridge section of the track. I've got John Yeo right behind me in his MGB there, and you can see Jonathan Abacassis there in the Healy are also fairly close to. Looking for sort of an inside line here, but thought better of it. I think that's possibly left me a little bit open on the exit there, because I sort of didn't get the best drive out of it. And I don't know if I'm going to get past coming up here into McLean's. There's Jonathan Abacassis there on the inside, so I'm trying to give him some room, but obviously there's only so much I can do. I've sort of left a car width on the inside there, but I think I'm going to be a sitting duck on the straight. There we go, yes. You can see his Healy has got that straight line speed that my car simply doesn't, it doesn't compete, but we are in different classes, so it's not really surprising. I think it's Tom Andrew behind me there in the red Elva Courier. It's a sort of car I don't know all that well. We've not raced together before. So anyway, back through Goddard's there. So we're back onto the start finish straight to complete lap 1. And now we're going down into Redgate corner. So possibly look at the speedometer there. Just about 100 miles an hour, and down here sort of 50 miles an hour through Redgate, third gear corner, all through there safely. So we're coming round there. This is Hollywood, the second corner, and then this sort of leads on to those fabulous sort of Craner curves where we drop down the hill. The whole car sort of moves, but you don't see it quite so much in the video, but the whole car is sort of sliding a four-wheel drift through the Craner curves, back down into the old hairpin here. Second gear again, trying to get some drive out of it. A little bit later in the race, I'll probably go for a third gear here instead. And back up the hill, Starkers Bridge. So looking behind me, I can't see it at the moment, but I think there's John Yeo. He's going to make that move, makes a good move there to pass me and take that position. And then we've got the number 70 there, which is Tom Andrew in the Elva Courier. And I think Tom is going to pass me on this next straight, possibly. I'm sort of doing what I can to stay in front, but I think I made a good start. But now those cars that were just a little bit faster than me are coming past. So there we go, down into Goddard's. Possibly one of the slowest corners on the track. This is sort of a fair bit of braking to do, and you can see the smoke there. I think that was Rob Johnson in the black MGB locked up coming into that corner. But there were no incidents. So here we go, back onto the start and finish straight. This is the end of lap 2, and down into Redgate. I think that's all getting a little bit tight again. But all gets all through there safely. And looking ahead of me, I'm hoping to get past Rob. I've often had a good race with Rob in the past. He's in that black MGB, sponsored by Classic Sports Finance. Dropping down through the Craners here, and I think I'm a little bit too far away to try and make a move now, but I've sort of seen that. Hopefully in a lap or two's time I might be able to sort of close up on Rob to make a move there, but sort of I've been a bit slow through there. And there's that Elva Courier, a very fast car. I think he's going to be able to sort of drive past me in a minute. Let me just see, I can sort of see a bit of the rear view there. So we're coming up to McLean's there, so it's a heel and toe downshift into third, 65, 70 miles an hour through there, and then up the slight hill to Coppice. Coppice can be a bit of a sort of a greasy corner. Didn't seem too bad this weekend. I know there hasn't been much racing, well, hasn't been any racing going on at Donington really, but you can get a bit of, well, rumour has it anyway, that you can get a bit of sort of a bit of aviation fuel dropped on the circuit there as the planes fly overhead. So back down there, you can just see on the side of the view there, that's the sort of the exhibition centre where there's a great collection of Grand Prix cars. So if you do come to Donington, you can definitely have a look at there. So here we go, coming for end of lap 3 now. Looking at my timer, I'm about sort of 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds off the times I was setting yesterday in the 3 hours. So I've got a little bit of work to do. Again, closing up on Rob here now, so that's third down into second. But I think I didn't quite have the pace to get past him. But I still showed him my nose. I said I've got the intent to try and get past him if I can, in exactly the same way that Tom Andrews there in his car. So there we go, back down through the cradle curves now. I think hopefully I've got a little bit of overspeed on Rob, so I'm going to dive down the inside here. I think yes, we managed to get that sort of move made well before the apex, and so we're through there. Second gear just to get myself out of there, and I think I managed to clear Rob quite happily. And you can see there the field behind starting to sort of spread out a little bit now, but there's still everything to play for. These 40-minute races are they are long. So you don't want to sort of make too many mistakes in those first laps. It's hard to make that time up at the end. So here we go. Back to McLean's again. I've still got Tom Andrew close behind me in the Albion Courier there. Then we're back onto Starkey Straight. And here it's sort of the case of trying to be as brave as you can on the brakes, but not mess up that corner, because you've got a bit of work to do to get that car slowed up. You're still probably doing just over 100 miles an hour on Starkey Straight, but you need to get down to 50 miles an hour, second gear for Goddard's corner on the national circuit. You can just see there that Tom Andrew has made his move and got past me. And he's done enough there to stay in front through Redgate. I'm not going to be able to make a move from back here. And he's got his car slowed up and he's round the corner okay. And we can see in the middle of the corner here we've got a spinning MGB. I didn't quite get to see who that was. It was possibly Dominic Mooney, but I'm not sure. And looking behind me now, we've got this absolutely beautiful XK150E. This car's driven by Joe Wilmot. And I'm just going to show you the rear view. Look at that lovely slide through the corners there. Absolutely beautiful car. This is really nicely prepared. Not a car I know. I've not raced against Joe before, and I think he's new to the series, but I'm not altogether certain. He's sort of hunting me down now. It's worth pointing out that Joe actually started from P37 on the grid, so absolutely the very, very back row, and he's already managed to work his way through most of the field to get up behind me. I think I'm sitting in around about 17th or 18th at the moment. It's hard to know. Look at that lovely slide of that big car going through the corners there. Whilst Joe's car is more power, here we go. So he's coming past me now. Both our cars are on the same Dunlop tyres, as the whole field is, so that does even things out slightly. You can just see that grunt of a Jaguar as it comes past me. I'm hoping to sort of hold on to the back if I can. Next here we've got Rob in the TR3 number 7. He's going to pass me here coming into Redgate, I think. Yes, he's through there. And then we're going to get on the brakes now coming into the corner. A bit of a lock-up there for someone in front of me, a little bit of a lock-up for Rob, and I think he's got a bit sideways there, and he's slid around. I've just managed to get past him and not end up in the gravel trap. I've all got a little bit close there. Rob Johnson's up behind me now, so I'm going to try and get to the inside here. He's going to make a move around the outside of the cradles, but I think if I hold this inside line, I should be able to get down that hill. Yes, I can just get that down the hill a little bit quicker than him to stay in front. So there we go, back down into third gear for the old hairpin. Try and take a little bit of that inside there. You can just see the inside bit where you've got the red and white curve and that bit of green. You are allowed to use the green, but you can't go over that onto the grass. Back up Starkey's Bridge now, so we come up to McLean's. This is sort of 90 miles an hour, down to 60 for McLean's. Then up this slight gradient, taking the third gear now up to Copper's Corner. Now you can see I've lost a little bit of ground on the Jaguar there, that lovely XK150E. So we're going to try and see what we can do to close that gap back up. You can see Rob Cobden here in the Courier. I think he's in early retirement. Yes, his hands up. You can see there. So his race has been cut short. So back down here into Goddard. So this is that second gear corner. Back down through the box. Try not to sort of slide here. So you've seen many cars sort of do a 180 coming out of that corner. If you follow my videos, you'll see. I think it was Donington same sort of time last year when we had a spinning car in front of me that I very nearly collected. Probably one of the closest incidents I have. Luckily we both managed to miss each other. So here we are, down into Redgate. I've managed to close up a little bit on Joe here under the braking. I think having that slightly lighter car that I do means I can just close that gap a little bit. on the sort of down the hill now, the slightly power section, you know, he is opening up a little gap, a little bit of words of encouragement to myself there to try and keep myself in the race. And you can see here under braking again, I managed to close up, try and take as much of that inside as I can at the old hairpin. A few more words of encouragement, thanks very much. Up the hill now. You can just see that Jaguar, I think, is just pulling away from me very slightly. And whether I'll be able to just sort of come back a little bit under brakes here, let's see. Yeah, so I managed to close that down a bit. It's hard those corners there to see exactly the best line to go for. But here we are, this is Coppis. I'm taking a little bit of that curve on the way in, trying not to upset the car too much as we come through the apex as well. It's very tempting to sort of take a big chunk of that inside curve. I'm really not sure if it helps all that much or not. I couldn't quite see what my lap time was showing then. So down into second gear here for Goddard's. You can see, look at the way that Jaguar just slides and pitches that front wheel up in the air on the way out of the corner. It was an absolute pleasure to follow this car around, it really was. So looking at my timer there, yes, so we are 1:32 that time round. So lap time was decreasing slightly, but still not as quick as I was yesterday. But I had managed to close up a little bit on Joe there. I think if I was trying to make the move, I guess it's either going to be Redgate. I don't think I can get close enough to him through the crane of curves to sort of try and make a pass going into the old hairpin. You can just see he's opened up that gap there. That, you know, I haven't got enough speed there to try and take him. But I do sort of see, you know, I can see myself getting a little bit closer to him through those corners. So here we are. McLean's again, 60 miles an hour. Just try and get as close as I can to the back end of that Jaguar, but we certainly don't want to hit it because it's a lovely car. Looking behind me, the gap has opened up slightly. It's just taken a little bit of pressure off me now, as I can sort of just relax a tiny bit just to know that I haven't got someone breathing down my neck. And all my focus is at the front now, looking at Joe in the Jaguar. So I'm a bit too far back to make a move. I'm sort of showing an intention, I'm showing that he hasn't got away from me fully. And unfortunately, I think by doing that, I compromised my line a little bit going into the corner. So possibly wasn't the cleverest thing. Looking down the pit straight now, I don't think, no, the pit window isn't open yet, so I'm gonna hang on for a bit to stay out. We've got a mandatory 45-second pit stop on this in this race. With the pit stops, it's whether you're doing a one driver or a two driver, you have to stop for the same amount of time. But it's quite a unique thing to the Keep GTS series that you have this sort of two driver stops where there's no benefit to try and do a quick stop. You just sort of have to stay and do it safely, and the same for the single drivers too. Coming up to a little back marker here. Coming up to a back marker here now. That's Jeff Handry in the Trans Spitfire. Always a pleasure driving with Jeff. He's always, you know, very sort of courteous. He's great for checking his mirrors and knowing where you are behind him, and making sure that he doesn't get in your way. So there we are again, McLean's corner. That Jaguar sort of drifting wide. At this point, I was wondering whether his tyres are glass, whether he'd try and do an early pit stop or a late pit stop, and just see, you know, I'll sort of keep the pressure on him, sort of keep him working, and possibly force him into a mistake. So back down through the gears, there we go, second gear, through Goddard's, back onto the start-finish straight. Managed to drop myself down 0.23 seconds under my fastest lap time. Unfortunately, unfortunately the camera just moved as we came under the bridge there, just under the gantry to see what that lap time was. I'm guessing we're getting down into the 130s now though, holding on to that Jaguar. We haven't let him go. So back down through the crane curves. Unfortunately, you don't quite get to feel how much the car moves as we drop down through these through those curves. So the old hairpin again. We've got another back marker behind. Now that's a I can't quite see it at the moment. I think that's an Austin Healey Sprite. I think he sort of lined up on the grid just behind me, but I can't see the number at the moment, so I can't tell what car it was. So that's 171. That's Andrew Giles. And again, got past him with no issues. All the cars are through. And I think we've done looking at Joe and I's progress here, you can see there's the I think there's Jonathan Abacassis and the Spitfire, sorry, the Elva Courier of Tom Andrews. So we managed to hold on to these guys. I think they're sort of going round in sort of, must be going round in the high, well, either the high 29s or the low 1 minute 30s to allow us to hold on to the back of them. There we go. And so I've come down the main straight there, and I can see that pit lane is open. The choice now is whether to try and do an early stop or whether to try and hang on and get a bit deeper into the race. It's always a hard one. Sometimes a deep stop, going out a little bit deeper does seem to work, just to cool those tyres off, so you've got that little bit more at the end. I think if you're going around in traffic and you feel those guys are holding you up though, then I think it's worth the earlier stop is definitely more useful. But also in my situation here, I'm up at the same speed as Joe. He's certainly not holding me up, and so I'm sort of keen to carry on for as long as I can. Back up the hill now, on the Starkers Bridge, and heading back into the plains. Think through that corner to sort of close the gap a bit. And I've certainly got a fair bit of work to do if I'm to try and get past that Jaguar. So coming back now into Starkey Straight. Through the gears, probably topping out about 105 miles an hour here, and I'm just sort of looking, I think I was getting on those brakes around sort of 150 metre mark. I was just trying to keep it as sort of deep as I could, and not to compromise my exit coming back onto the circuit. So we just looked to the side there, we see that John Yeo and Tom Andrew have both taken a pit stop. I'm looking ahead of that, looking ahead of Joe Wilmot's Jaguar now, and I can see, I think we've got Abacassis still out, we've got an Austin Healey, which I can't quite see whose car that is at the moment, possibly a grey one. I think that's Robin Pinchbeck, possibly, I'm not sure at the moment. I can see we're sort of coming into a bit of traffic here, and now I'm sort of thinking, is it possibly a good time to look at a pit stop? So there we go, safely past the Austin Healey there, Robin Pinchbeck. Back up the hill again. I'll try to take a slightly sort of wider line on the entrance here into McLean. Trying to get sort of over to that left-hand side as far as I can, and trying to cut in and get that very late apex in McLean there. You can just see the sort of black lines on the sort of bottom on the curve where those cars have been. The same here, so a little bit sort of tight as we can on the first, but trying to sort of get through the second part as well and sort of hold it fairly close. Coming back down onto Starkey Straight now. We've got Jeff Hanley there with the Spitfire a little way as we go past. And down into second gear for Goddard again. So, through to complete the lap there. Pit stop window, still looking at that. I think we're getting close to the time to come in. My last up there was a 1:30.17, so I was sort of fairly happy with that. Again, I seem to be holding on to Joe Wilmot in the Jaguar, but certainly at the moment I couldn't seem to see a way past him. Debating whether to sort of come into the pits at the same time, we're seeing whether to take a slightly earlier stop. Now I think coming onto this lap, you can see it's a little bit wide there. Is he sort of cooking the tyres a bit? I'm not sure at the moment. Down the road there, I can see we've got some more traffic in the distance. And coming up behind me now, I've got I think this is Robin Ellis in his lovely little Llewellyn there. Vastly superior and faster than me, so I'm not going to hold him up. I think coming out of Poppet here, he's going to be right on me. So I think yes, I'm just going to indicate and move over and let him pass. We're not in the same race, so there's certainly there's no point trying to hold him up. And I think he's also going to get the move done on Joe Wilmot before the corner, which he does. So he's through there. Now in front we've got an MGB, which I think, I'm not sure there's right with that. I know it's Mark Harris's old car. Staying out for now. Quick check on the watch. Thanks to Crackle Jewellers for that lovely shooting chronograph. Quickly just on the mirrors as well. Stack down into third. Redgate. Tricky corner this one. I think it's a very, very late apex. It's hard to try and, you've got to try and sleep wide as long as you can, not to turn in too early. It's very tempting. You sort of see the corner coming up and you start turning, and really you need to be a little bit more patient with that one. So through the cranes, I can't do those quite flat. I have to lift a little bit. Unfortunately, I haven't quite got got the skills for that yet. Look at that lovely drift from the Jaguar there as it goes through the corner. And we're closing in on the MGB in the distance. I'm not quite sure who that is at the moment. If I can see a number, I'll be able to tell you. But I know it was Mike Harris's car many years ago. So there we are. We're both through there safe. I'm just trying. I think I managed to catch up to Joe Wilmot a little bit. Just try and keep it tucked in nice and tight. There will be an opportunity here, I'm just not certain. No, I think really he's going to be on that straight, and he'll be able to open that gap up a little bit more. Let's see if he manages to get past that MGB or not. So looking behind me, yes, it's still fairly clear. No one's no one threatening at the moment, so that's all good. I'm really sorry, but I haven't been able to see a number on that MGB, but I think we're going. Yes, here we go. So into the pits. Now I must say, I've been working on for the last year or two. Has been my pit stop. You might be able to see in the car. There's actually a little speedometer, so I can get straight up to 60 kph. So here we go in the stop. So it's a 45-second stop stationary. I'm not going to have the whole thing here on a car, so we're just going to have a sort of crossover. So now we're out of the pits, straight up to 60 kph as quick as you can. We're certainly not over it, otherwise you end up with a pit lane penalty. I think my delta today for the whole pit stop was 1 minute and 5 seconds. I think a perfect stop will be sort of a minute 3. So I was fairly happy with that. I was in and out and nice and promptly. Just taking that a little bit easy on the first few corners out. You've been stationary for 45 seconds, so those tyres will have cooled off just a little bit. I can't quite see who's in front or behind me at the moment, but we'll find out as the lap goes on. So coming into the old hairpin now, I never think I managed to get over quite far enough over to the left really to sort of take that corner. I think possibly should have come on the brakes a little bit earlier on, tried to get the car over that bit more, and then hopefully get a bit of a smoother go through the corner. I think this might be Mark Holm behind me, who, whether he's, yes, I think he is the race leader at the moment, so he's obviously made his pit stop, and I guess he's coming up to lap me. He's coming up to lap me here. And you'll see how quick this Healy is. Nice lines through there. A little bit of a slide coming out of the corner. And as soon as he gets onto that main straight, he's going to be straight past me. There we go. So an easy enough pass for Mark Holm there. So there we go, down into the corner, down into second gear, turn in, and straight through. So I think we might be, yes, I think we're coming back up, yes, back up behind Andrew Giles here in the Austin Healy Sebring Sprite. Should be a fairly easy pass on the inside. It gives me plenty of space. So down there we go, down the hill. Third gear there through the old hairpin. Take it, a fair bit of the inside curve if we can. And I can see behind me now. I think that's Jonathan Abacassis in the Healy 100. Plus possibly Paul Morton too. I'm not entirely sure who's behind me and who's not at the moment. So just try and get it nice and wide into there. Throughout the race I was trying to sort of get it over as far as I could. Let's see if I take a little bit of curve this side. No, I think I need to try and get over to that left a bit more on the entrance of that corner to take some of that, to take some of the outside curve just to get that to that apex a bit better. I've definitely Jonathan Abacassis behind me there. He's in the Austin Healey 104. Good straight line speed on his car, and also he's fairly quick through the corners as well. So he's going to be coming up. I think I must have had a slightly better pit stop than him. I do find if you get your, with having the speedometer in the car, you know you can, the exact speed you can go, and I'm certain it saves 2 or 3 seconds in the pits, if not a little bit more. Especially if you've got no idea what no idea what speed you're doing. And the worst is if you follow a slow car through that's sort of doing 20 miles an hour, you can lose, you can lose 10 seconds very easily during the pit stop sequence. So Jonathan's closing up on me now. See that nice slide there. It's having the rear view of the cars. You can see just how much they moved there through the through the crane curves. So back up here, and he's got really close up to me now. I guess he's going to do the move coming into McLean's, is he? Not quite there, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be past me very soon. See if he does it at this next one into Coppice. Not quite yet. I'm trying to see what it says on my lap timer there. At the moment, the sun's just in the way, so I can't see what kind of pace we're doing. It certainly feels like the car was getting quicker throughout the race, possibly getting a little bit lighter with the fuel. Unfortunately, I couldn't seem to get on the same times as last year. I was sort of doing 1:29 wasn't my best last year, where it was a 1:30. So 1:31 I think was my, or 1:30.75 was my best this year. So there's Jonathan's got past me. There's Tom Smith at the moment. I think he's in P2 with the Mark Holmes in front, so that would make sense. I'd love to be able to follow Tom Smith through this through the circuit, but unfortunately his skill set is greater than mine. So there we are, there's Jeff Hand again in the Spitfire. Hopefully we might just get to see how much. Well, there's Robin Ellis behind. So he's Robin Ellis. I think he's in third position there at the moment, and he's chasing down Tom. I don't think we'll quite. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't get to quite see how Tom makes his car work going through those corners. And there's Robin Ellis's car. I think he was sharing with Nick Trotter. I'm not sure quite who was driving at the time. And so he's managed to close up a little bit on Tom up there. Possibly he's been held up by Jonathan Abacassis in front. And again, behind me again, I can see John Ye and Tom Andrew again. So again, I must have made a bit of time up in the pit stop when they were held up. I don't know. See that over closing up under braking there on me. So there we go. I think we're most of the way into the race. I think it's around 10 minutes remaining at the moment. So that's about what's that, 5 or 6 laps left to go. Actually a bit more than that, 6 or 7 laps left to go, I think. And there's Mark. There's Tom Andrew, just behind me. Just down through the cranes. I wonder if I get a rear view of his car now. There it is. Very well planted LB. You can see it hardly moves at all going through the corners there. There's a little bit wide on the exit there. There you go. That's cost me the position. I've got John Ye behind me now. He's in car number 5. That's the sort of metallic blue MGB. This straight past me, unfortunately. I will be in a race with John sort of usually. I'm going to try and sort of hold on to the back of my cam, but at the moment he is sort of driving away from me as we go up there into Coppice. So through Coppice into 4th. Really just to the mirror. I'm really going to try and hold on to John. So down through the box. I think he sort of managed to open up a little bit of space on me. Looking at my lap time there, I'm about 1.6 seconds down on what my best time has been. So whether I might get to see as we just go through the lap here and come down into Redgate. So let's see, that was a 1:32.7 that time, so a little bit slower. Then here we go. Redgate to get third gear corner, always a tricky one for me. It doesn't seem to be like one where there's a natural line where you can just see, you can't just sort of get it automatically, it seems to me. I'm sure better drivers will know far more about it than I do. So down the hill again, now we've got, I think it's the Buggy Kirkby Austin Healey Sprite on the inside there. All a little bit tight, so apologies for that. But luckily he let me through fine with no issues. But there's always a little bit of a concern there when you're coming up to a back marker, sort of middle of a corner as well. Not very nice for either driver really. You always got to hope that the guy you're passing knows you're there and doesn't try to go for the apex. And I think John Ye in the blue MGB number 5 has opened up a bit of a gap on me now. So I've got some work to do to try and close this down. So a bit of heel and toe there from 4th to 3rd to 2nd. A bit deep I think there in that corner possibly. I can't see, I'm trying to see what the Delta says on the 2nd slower, so still needs work to do to try and improve that, and I can see that John's opened up that gap on me a bit more now. Possibly to around 3 seconds or so in front. So there, looks a little bit quicker through Redgate that time. I'm trying to be a bit brave and just try and sort of close that gap down. What was I saying? 0.6 of a second up on what my best has been. And again with here, just carrying as much squeeze as I can down into that sort of bottom section. It's sort of hard on the brakes, over to the left if it will go, and you can sort of take a little bit of that inside, take as much of that inside as you dare going through. But again, John is pulling out a gap on me there, John Ye. Yeah, possibly up to 4 seconds now. Up the hill now, so about 70 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, down to 60 through Coppice, third gear right hand corner. And again, John managed to open that gap even more, I think. Let's see. Yes, it says around 4 seconds, if not a little bit more. So I'm trying to come in fairly deep there. Let's just see if that's helped at all on the lap. I don't think that's not quite so bad. We're 0.3 of a second up, so a little bit of improvement that time onto the sort of the previous 2 or 3 laps have been. Okay, there's McLean's again, so 50 miles an hour through there, accelerating all the way now, all the way down the hill. 80 miles an hour through Hollywood, the second corner. Down to the Cramer curves, around about 100 miles an hour through these. Car gets a little bit light there, and got a bit of a bump. Hard on the brakes here, sort of third gear, old hairpin, 60 miles an hour, something like that as we go through there. I can't quite see on the gauge exactly what we've got, but 65 to 70. Then sort of hard on up the hill here, Starkers Bridge, 90 miles an hour here through Swans Curve. And again, hard on the brakes, down into third. This is McLean, so 60 miles an hour. Late apex as well, trying to get around that corner as much as we can before sort of making a turn in. A bit slow for that, but I'll just come off the throttle slightly. So again, so we're 0.2 now on the previous best time. Can't quite see what car that is behind me, but it does seem like we've got a fairly nice gap. Just a bit of a harsh gear change there, whether that's let's try and go as deep as I possibly. I think that's Chris Ryan there in the Type TR4, so he's currently sitting 4th, I believe, behind Robin Ellis and Tom Smith in the MGB. Chris Ryan's a very quick driver. I think he had a reasonable
I think he had a reasonable race yesterday in the 3-hour relay, but unfortunately they lost. I think they lost both the cars. Well, I had three cars in the team, and 2 of them unfortunately pulled up, and so Chris was left on his own in the Austin A40. So they decided to call it a day, which I fully understand. And he in fact was in the same team as John Yates, which is the car I'm following. And you can see that Chris has really sort of closed off on me there. He's a quick driver, doing some fast laps. Going up the hill, I think that's still John Yates in front. I don't think there's sort of a back mark or anyone in between us. So to give you an idea, I think John's quickest lap time was a 1:29.9, and my quickest was a 1:30.7. So I think we were fairly evenly matched, but I could just sort of see him in a distance, and at this point I just couldn't seem to sort of close that door on him, close the gap on him. I was sort of trying to. I didn't want to. I think the trouble is sometimes when you've got a gap behind and a gap in front, you can slow down a bit too much in a race and sort of lose concentration. So it's worth keep pushing on until you actually get to the flag. So you see Chris has actually taken there about 2 or 3 seconds off me that lap. So he's up alongside me now. I think I'm going to just let him go past. There we go. So coming down to the I was a little bit surprised how much he broke coming into that. He did very nearly go into the back of him, as you can see. He did seem to sort of slow down more than I do for that corner. But then he does use lots of that outside curve, which I wasn't doing. So looking at Chris's line through Redgate there, sorry, through the crane curves there. So you can see he manages to get his car right over and then turns in sharply, and you can see how much of that inside curve he uses. So I was trying to, while I was following Chris, I was trying to see what he was doing and see if I could, often when you follow a quicker driver, you can improve your own lap times quite a bit by just sort of seeing what they're doing and trying to emulate it. So again, it's nice and wide coming through these corners, very late apexes, using all of that outside curve. If you look at the next one here, coming into Coppice, gets his car right over onto that red and white curving, and it's hard in. See again, he's already sort of taken what, 2 seconds quicker than me that lap. Okay, a little bit wide through Goddard's there. Hopefully I might get to see what the lap time was this time round. So I think it was about 0.4 quicker. So here I've tried to go really deep into Redgate, I think, this time. Let's just see. Yeah, 1:31.1 I think. Sorry, 1:31. I think I'm going to be my 1:31.7 lap, so I think that's probably my quickest lap that last time around. I couldn't quite see exactly what the lap time was, but I know it was those last 2 laps where I think I was about the fastest, the quickest I was going. So there we are. Nice and smooth. Yeah, I think I could have been a little bit tighter on the inside, so we're trying to catch up to John. I think I've managed to sort of close him down a little bit here, but I think there's still too much to do. We've only got probably a couple of minutes left of the race now. Again, I'm not getting over far enough to try and make use of all of that outside curve. I need to move that car a bit more. Again here, let me just see. So you get into red and white a bit. So it's kept the speed through fairly well. Let's just see what the timer says. I couldn't quite read it. Yeah, so unfortunately half a second up, so we're not doing all that well, unfortunately, on this lap. So I've gone there sort of as deep as I can. Okay, crossing the line again. So we were very close. So yeah, 1:30.72 on that lap. So that was my quickest lap actually, the one there. And I think I managed to close in a little bit on John, sort of. Yes, nowhere near close enough to try and make any kind of move on him, but it was good to see that I could at least hold on to if I really tried. It's a shame I didn't manage to sort of get a little bit of pace a bit earlier in the session, really. So there we go. What's that gap now as well? So So come down a little bit, two possibly 3 seconds behind him. We finished the race. It was 3 seconds apart, so that's probably about where we are now. I think we're coming up, whether this is the final lap, I'm not certain, but we're certainly very, very close to the end now. So there we go, into coppers again, using that outside curve a little bit more. Let's just see what the logger says. You can see as I'm driving, I'm looking down and just trying to see what lines are working for me. So we came out of there 0.07 of a second up, so that's not bad. That'll be on compared to the very quickest lap I've done. So yeah, back down into second, and I think this is going to be the final corner. Here we see the checkered flag. Yes, there we go. So that's the end of the race there. I ended up in P15, which I was fairly happy with. Started in 22nd, just running through the final places very quickly. First was number 1 Mark Harmony, Austin Healey. Second, number 22 Tom Smith and his MGB. Third was number 75, which is the Lotus 26R with Robin Ellis and Nick Trott. Fourth, Richard Hewell Evans in the Healey 3000. Fifth was Ivan Hayward in the TVR Grantura. Sixth, Jonathan Snare in the Austin Healey 3000. Seven, number 65 John Hughes MGB. Eighth, Mark Gordon, Lotus Elite. Ninth was Steve Winter in his MGB. 10th was Paul Mortimer in his Austin Healey 100. 11th, Jonathan Abacassis in his Austin Healey 104. We saw a bit of him in the race. 12th was Tom Andrew, number 70 in the Albert Curry that we saw a bit of. Chris Ryan actually ended up 13th because of he was penalised for an unsafe release in the pit lane. 14th was number 5 John Yane in his MGB. 15th was me, David Russell-Wilks MGB. 16th Dominic Mooney in his MGB. 17th Darryl Davis. 18th Colin Kingsthorpe. 19th Robert Johnson in the black MGB, we saw a bit of it at the start. 20th Rick Wilmot. 21 Mark Turner. 22 Barry Dye. 23 Robin Pinchbeck. 24 Harry Wilmot. 25 Buggy and Kirkby in the Austin Healey Sprite. 26 with Andrew Giles.
That concludes our racing for the weekend. Hopefully you join me next time when we'll be at Brands Hatch GP for the next Equipe Classic Racing event on the 21st and 22nd of August. Many thanks. Bye.